Kathleen, I see it as, yeah. It shows the kind of, we need to just do like mirror screen settings. Thank you. Good morning to the commissioners and the public watching. If you can give us 1 second to get our slides to show not in the presenter mode, but just in the kind of normal mirror mode, we will get started. While we're doing that, let me just quickly say that my name is Sally Marsh, and I am the Director of Special Projects at the Michigan Department of State. And this is a perfect point to say that we appreciate your patience and understanding as we operate this public meeting virtually for the first time. I'm sure there will be hiccups as we're experiencing right now, just to make sure we can make everything, view and work correctly. But we will do our best to adjust and accommodate members of the public and the commission as we go. Before Secretary Benson officially calls this meeting to order, and while we are figuring out how to best view our PowerPoint slides, I will go over a few virtual logistics for this meeting for the public who is watching today. We will briefly review the agenda and answer any remaining administrative questions. This may take anywhere around 10 minutes, but just want to be thorough and make sure that everyone is able to participate today. So first of all, a couple of notes about the live stream. This Zoom webinar is being live streamed to Facebook and to YouTube. That looks great, Kathleen. Awesome. So for anyone in the public watching, if you would prefer to view via a different platform than what you're currently using, please visit our social media at redistrictingmi or our website, redistrictingmichigan.org, to find the link for either viewing on YouTube or Facebook. Our live stream today includes closed captioning. You may already see that we have an ALS interpreter and ALS interpretation available for this meeting. If you're a member of the public who would like easier viewing options for the ASL interpreter on your screen, please email us at redistricting@michigan.gov, and we will provide you with additional viewing options. If we could go to the next screen, the next slide. Similarly, members of the public who are limited English speaking and who would like to access translation services during this webinar can also email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for details on how to access language translation services for this meeting. They are available in both Spanish and Arabic. Please email us and we'll provide you with a unique link and call-in information. This meeting is being recorded and will be available at redistrictingmichigan.org for viewing at a later date. This meeting is also being transcribed, and those transcriptions will be made available and posted on redistrictingmichigan.org along with public comment submissions. Members of the media who may have questions before, during, or after the meeting should contact Tracy Wimmer and direct those questions to her, the Media Relations Director at the Department of State. You all should have her contact information if you're a member of the media. So briefly, before Secretary Benson convenes the meeting, we'll talk through the agenda for the next few days so that people know what's coming. And commissioners, you'll have the opportunity to ask any administrative questions before we move on. Yeah, thank you. If we can go to the next slide, perfect. So the full agenda can be viewed at redistrictingmichigan.org. Today and tomorrow, you will hear from academic and elections experts about some of the key concepts and tasks ahead of you. This is an introduction and an orientation. Hopefully it's helpful as you begin your work. You'll begin making decisions as a group and getting to know one another. So just briefly to touch on each of these sessions. This morning, once Secretary Benson convenes the meeting, we will listen to public comment. You will take the oath of office. You'll introduce yourselves to one another and elect an acting chair, someone to lead the group through the remainder of the two-day session. This afternoon, you will begin an introduction and dialogue about your role as a commissioner and the requirements of the Constitution. Tomorrow morning, you will hear more about the basics of redistricting and transparency expectations outlined in the amendment. And then finally, tomorrow afternoon, you'll make your initial decisions as a group on how to proceed with initial next steps, including when you will meet next. Don't worry, although these are two packed days, you'll have off-camera breaks throughout. We hope to have breaks in today's agenda as indicated on the slide that you can see in front of you. We'll be flexible with that as we move forward. You'll have breaks generally in between presentations to stretch your legs and refresh your coffee, and that goes for members of the public as well. So you'll see on this agenda and on the agenda for the upcoming sessions as well, that at the beginning and the end of each day, there will be a period of public comment. So a few notes about public comment for this two-day session. Because this is a virtual meeting, members of the public had to sign up in advance to submit public comment to the commission. Many members of the public submitted written public comment, and some signed up to address the commission live during this meeting. Written public comment will be included as part of the permanent record of this convening. If you would like to submit your thoughts to the commission and you haven't yet, or participate in public comment in an upcoming session, you can fill out the form that's posted on our social media sites at RedistrictingMI on Facebook and on Twitter. You can also email our office, redistricting@michigan.gov, with the subject line, public comment, and we will provide your written thoughts to the commission and part of the record of this convening. There are a total of 4 sessions of live public comment. So if you didn't sign up for this morning's session, the good news is you still have time to sign up for a later date. Now I'd like to address meeting attendees who will be participating in live public comment today, or people who are considering participating in live public comment in future sessions. Let me just tell you briefly what to expect. Our staff at the Department of State will unmute each member of the public for up to 90 seconds each on a first come, first served basis. That's in the order in which people sign up to address the commission. Once the public comment portion of the meeting starts, I will call your name and our staff will unmute you. If you're on a computer, you will be prompted by the Zoom application to unmute your microphone and speak. If you're on the phone, a voice will say that the host would like you to speak and prompt you to press *6 in order to unmute. I will call on you by name or by the last 4 digits of your phone number. Also, please note that if you do have audio issues and we don't hear from you for 3 to 5 seconds, we will then move on to the next person in line and then return to you once they're done speaking to see if you are able to speak at that point. But if your audio still doesn't work, you can email us again at redistricting@michigan.gov. We will help you troubleshoot. And the good news is that today and this morning, this is the first day, so there are still opportunities in the future if your audio doesn't work the first time. A reminder to all public comment participants, whether written or live speaking comment, this is an opportunity to address the commission on the record. Commissioners will listen and take note. This is not a Q&A, but it is an opportunity to provide your thoughts and your feedback. Again, please note you will have no more than 90 seconds to address the commission. And I will let you know when your time has elapsed and ask that you quickly conclude or finish your sentence before moving on. At approximately 9:30, we will transition to public comment. Again, if you'd like to submit your thoughts to the commission, either in writing or via live public comment, you can find the form at Redistricting MI on Facebook and on Twitter. You can also email our office once again at redistricting@michigan.gov, and we will, with the subject line public comment, and we will provide your written thoughts to the commission. Are there any questions from the commissioners about these administrative logistics? If you could go on to the next slide. Just to recap, for those who may just be joining us in the public, wanted to be sure I mentioned this one more time, that we have closed captioning available for this live stream. And again, if you're viewing on a live stream platform and you'd prefer a different one, we are live streaming to both Facebook and to YouTube. You can find those links on our website or on our social media platforms at Redistricting MI. And then similarly, you may notice that we have ALS interpretation available for this meeting. If you're a member of the public watching who would like easier viewing options for the ASL interpreter on your screen, please email us and we will provide you with additional information on how to access those viewing options. Members of the public who are limited English speaking and who would like to access translation services during the webinar can email us redistricting@michigan.gov for details on how to access language translation services. They are available in both Spanish and in Arabic. Let me just check now. Again, to members of the public watching, very much appreciate your patience and your understanding as we endeavor to have this first meeting publicly via Zoom and with all of these options available. And if there are there any questions from the commissioners? Wonderful. Okay. Let me see. I think we might have some technical difficulties getting Secretary Benson on the line, but let me look here. And for those who might be utilizing the Spanish translation line, we are verifying right now to make sure that you can hear us and that you can hear the translation. So if everyone can just give me a moment there, that would be great. Again, appreciate your patience. And while we're waiting to make sure we have all of the technology working and that everyone is able to join us, I'll just briefly talk again for those who might just be joining us about what is on the agenda this morning. Again, the full agenda, orientation materials, and resources, many different resources are available at redistrictingmichigan.org. This morning session will include a call to order from Secretary Benson, who will officially call the meeting to order shortly. It will include covering some meeting logistics. The commissioners will be able to take their oath of office. Then the commissioners will have the opportunity to introduce themselves to each other and to the public. And then the commission will have the opportunity to elect an acting chair for the remaining portion of the two-day session. to help facilitate the remainder of their agenda. And just in seeing that attendees can hear the Spanish translation line if they select that option once they get into the Zoom webinar. So that is good to hear. Sounds like that is working. And I think we should we're having brief technical difficulties. Just give me 1 second. Thanks again to everyone in the public who is watching and who is bearing with us as we figure this out this morning. We are, I think, all familiar with the advantages and also the challenges of these virtual meetings in this era. So if you can just give us 1 moment. Want to make sure that it looks like we might be able to. All right, I think.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Secretary Benson. Can you see us and hear us?
I can. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Wonderful to see you all. Hi. Sally, let me know when I can, if you want me to.
You're ready to go. Good to go.
Okay. Well, good morning, and thank you for being part of this really extraordinary moment in our state's history. It's wonderful to see you all and welcome you to the inaugural meeting of Michigan's first Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. This is a historic day, and it's such an honor to be a part of it with all of you. And I have such gratitude for each of you who have stepped up, who've been a part of this process already, and for the work ahead. I mean, you are literally going to draw Michigan's future, and the decisions you will make in the next year throughout your tenure will impact every citizen in this state for years to come. So thank you for your willingness to serve and be a part of a moment that will have great positive rewards, not just for our state, but for our entire country. As the secretary without a vote on the commission and in accordance with the constitutional obligations set forth in Article 4, Section 6 of in subsection 7 of the Michigan State Constitution, I call this first convening to order. And I would like to first formally welcome each of the 13 commissioners convened virtually here today. You will hear from me this morning, but by the end of our session this morning, you will make your first decision as a team and select your chair. The acting chair will be elected by all of you, and you will also then make a series of decisions as a team at the end of this 2-day meeting to guide the direction of your work moving forward. But that said, it's an honor to be the first to say directly to all of you convened today that you have not just an incredible opportunity ahead of you, but also an extraordinary responsibility. This process has been citizen-led from start to finish in a really tremendous, extraordinary way. And each of you now have the eyes of the state on you, the millions of citizens who organized to create this commission to make it a reality, and with the aspiration that 13 people just like you would be selected to serve in these critically important positions at this critically important moment. You have been, as you know, randomly selected through multiple processes as out of a pool that ultimately had close to 10,000 Michigan citizens from across the state. And your work will fulfill the calls for fair districting that led millions of citizens to vote to create this commission in 2018. And so with that responsibility to draw the district lines for your fellow citizens at the congressional level, at the state legislative level, at the state Senate level. I know that you are up to the task, and you will continue this task in a fair, transparent, nonpartisan, and bipartisan way. I know, and we know from talking with each of you, that you see the importance of the independence of your work, the citizen focus of your work. In the weeks ahead, you will be, and I'm sure you already have been, inundated with information and requests, and hopefully a lot of citizen input to help guide the decisions you'll be making. And of course, you will be expected to engage and involve the public in the decisions you make, and do it all in the sunlight of open meetings. So through your work in the coming year, you will create and set an example, not just for how citizen-led redistricting will occur in Michigan this decade, but how it will occur for years to come. Every action you take, every vote you make, every decision that you enter into will ultimately create a precedent for every future independent Citizens Redistricting Commission as well. And so I impress that upon you. That's certainly been something that's been part of our work as we've worked to get to this point, knowing that that the decisions we make are not just about this year or this moment or this decade, but about how this commission will operate for years to come. And then with that, I'll also underscore that this goes beyond Michigan. Other states, particularly in the Midwest, will be watching the work that you do and will work to ensure that you are being an example to all of them as they seek to decide whether to go down this path as well, for citizen-led redistricting as an antidote to the frankly, quite toxic, hyper-partisan political environment that we all find ourselves in many ways. So this is a momentous opportunity for you all to demonstrate to the country that fair citizen-led redistricting can be a antiseptic and an antidote to the moment that we're in, and can, through engaging and empowering citizens of every background, every perspective, all political sides, we can collectively, through deliberation and collaboration, come up with a decision that, in this instance, will lead to the creation of fair maps for our state legislature and our members of Congress. I'll close by just emphasizing that, as you know, Michigan's only the second state in the nation to do something like this, to have randomly selected citizens draw district lines, and one of only a few where state legislators are not involved in the process and not responsible for drawing district lines. And so it is not hyperbole to say the eyes of the nation will be on you. The eyes of our citizens certainly already are. I'm just so grateful that each of you stepped up to serve in light of all that willingness to be a part of history, and also embrace the importance of your role, the historic importance of your role in the weeks and months ahead. So my role moving forward, again, is very much the secretary without a vote. The Michigan Constitution states that the Secretary of State is the secretary of the commission without a vote. And in that capacity, I shall furnish, under your direction, all technical services that you deem necessary. My staff and I are committed to serving and supporting your efforts through providing secretarial administrative assistance to simply enable you all to do your work. We will work only at your direction here on out. You are all autonomous, you are independent, you are an independent governing body, and you are able to make decisions without approval beyond the consensus of your fellow commissioners and colleagues. You do not have to be, importantly, experts to know all of, or are you expected to know all of the answers to the questions discussed today, or tomorrow, or in the weeks ahead. Michigan voters called for this change, where intentionally redistricting experts and political insiders are not the decision makers. You are. I'm sure if you have a question or concern, at least one of your fellow commissioners or your fellow Michigan citizens watching will have that same question or concern. So speak up on their behalf, raise that question, raise that concern, ask for clarification, and engage the voices that you choose to engage on behalf of the citizens, the millions of citizens throughout the state that you now represent. In just a moment, we're going to transition to public comment. And after hearing from the public, you will take the oath of office to serve as a public official in the state of Michigan and a commissioner on our first Citizens Redistricting Commission. We'll then discuss a few additional housekeeping pieces. We'll have a quick break, and then you will have the opportunity to introduce yourselves to one another and to the public and elect an acting chair. But first, we're going to take roll call. So I will, at this point, read out, for the purposes of public watching and for public record, our Department of State staff will take note of the commissioners present. And so I'm going to turn it back to Sally Marsh to conduct the roll call. When your name is called, please unmute yourself and say present.
Thank you, Secretary Benson. Okay. Anthony Eade.
Here.
Brittany Kellum.
Present.
Cynthia Orton.
Present.
Douglas Clark.
Present.
Aaron Wagner.
Present.
James or Ed Decker.
Present.
Janice Villette.
Present.
Juanita Curry.
Present.
MC Rothhorn.
Present.
Rhonda Lang.
Present.
Richard Weiss.
Present.
Stephen Lett.
Present.
All commissioners are present.
Wonderful. And we'll now open the floor to public comment from members of the public who signed up to participate in today's session. And for anyone just joining us, a few reminders about the public comment for this two-day session. There will be multiple opportunities for public comment. And to those members of the public participating in public comment, please note that you will have no more than 90 seconds to address the commission this morning. Because this is a virtual meeting, members of the public had to sign up in advance to address the commission. And if you would like to submit your thoughts to the commission or participate in public comment in an upcoming session, and again, there will be 3 more opportunities in the next 2 days for public comment, you can fill out the form posted at redistrictingmichigan.org or go to Facebook or Twitter and go to @redistrictingmi and complete a form there. You can also email redistricting@michigan.gov to submit your interest in public comment, and we will provide your written submission to the commission. Now, I would like to recognize Sally Marsh again, who will call on members of the public to address the commission.
Thank you, Secretary Benson. Individuals who signed up and indicated they would like to provide live public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. For this initial period of public comment, there is one member of the public who would like to address the commission live. I will call on your name in just a moment. So first in line to provide public comment is Nancy Wang. Please allow a moment for our staff to unmute you. You are now unmuted and invited to address the commission for 90 seconds.
Hello, congratulations and thank you. I'm Nancy Wang, Executive Director and one of the original volunteers for Voters Not Politicians. We were the grassroots group of regular Michiganders who came together starting in 2017 to find a solution, a nonpartisan solution to end the decades of extreme partisan gerrymandering that's racked our state. And, you know, we started with 33 town halls in 33 days, just a handful of Michiganders who traveled the state to talk with others who shared our concern and see what kind of solution we could craft for the state of Michigan that was tailored to us and that would give us, you know, the ideal of fair, impartial, transparent, citizen-led redistricting. And now to see our vision come to fruition in you and all of you is really, it's an indescribable feeling and it's a dream come true. We know that you have a great task ahead of you, that you've been charged with drawing our district election lines through a very fair and impartial and community-driven process. But we want you to know that you're not alone. Voters Not Politicians has been working with hundreds of community organizations throughout 2018 and 2019. And we know that there are communities all throughout Michigan that are so excited to be giving their input to tell you about the boundaries of their communities so that they can be kept intact. And their input is prioritized in the constitutional amendment to help you, craft the district lines that really will make every Michigander's vote count, to make every voter feel that they have an active part in this truly what should be, a democratic, again, public voter-driven redistricting process. So I thank you so much. I can't wait to see all of you do your work and to see us coming into the 2022 elections with districts that make all of our votes count and our voices heard. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. That concludes your portion of public comment. And that concludes our public comment this morning.
Thank you. And again, there will be another opportunity for public comment later today and tomorrow. And before we move to a 10-minute break, or are we doing, I think, a short break of a few minutes? We have one important thing to address now, and that is taking the oath of office. So commissioners, you will all take the oath of office together. In order to administer this oath remotely, I will ask you all to unmute your microphones, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. You can take a moment to look at the oath on your screen, but our team will also take it down shortly so that the members of the public watching can all see you. Again, please unmute your microphone. It looks like you all have. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office
of Commissioner
of the office
of Commissioner
of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission,
of the Michigan
Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of
my abilities.
Congratulations, we're all commissioners. With that, we're going to take a quick break. And commissioners, if you choose to step away from your computer during this time, please turn off your cameras and mute your microphones at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. We will see you back here at what time, Sally?
About 9:50.
9:50. So you have about 8 minutes. See you back here at 9:50 for introductions and a few more housekeeping. Thank you.
Commissioners, when you're back, if you could turn on your camera so we know that you're there, that'd be great. Thank you.
And a reminder to be on mute. We're welcome back, everyone. I want to reiterate that people who want better ASL viewing options can also email us at redistricting@michigan.gov. For ASL, Arabic, or Spanish translations, you can also email us at redistricting@michigan.gov.
Sorry, Secretary Benson, I hate to interrupt. I'm sorry. It says I can't start my video. This is MC.
Here, MC, we'll try to troubleshoot with you offline. Thanks.
Okay, the process continues. Thank you all for coming back. Next on our agenda are introductions, but first, before we do that, we have a couple remaining housekeeping and logistical items. I'm going to turn back to staff from the Department of State to address a few remaining housekeeping items, and then we'll move to commissioner introductions.
Thank you, Secretary Benson. So you all have met me, but I'm going to let my colleague, Mike Brady, introduce himself as well.
Good morning. My name is Mike Brady. I'm the Chief Legal Director here at the Michigan Department of State. Pleasure to be here with you this morning.
Thanks, Mike. So commissioners, before we move on to introductions, we just wanted to briefly mention Robert's Rules of Order and really answer the question, what is it? And why was it included in your orientation materials? So if we can go to the Robert's Rules of Order slide. Thank you so much. So it's basically Robert's Rules of Order is a framework and a tool for those of you who haven't used it before. It's a framework and a tool to utilize in this meeting and moving forward to help organize conversation, debate, and decisions. That's really what it is. It's an opportunity for a public body or a group as large as yours to be able to focus the conversation and make sure everyone's on the same page about what you are talking about. So we're going to briefly run through the high-level basics just so that you're able to participate fully, highlight a couple of key motions and points. And I want to direct you to pages 29 through 35 of your orientation materials. Certainly don't want Robert's Rules of Order, commissioners, to be something that that limits your participation in this meeting. It's really meant to be a tool to enable it and to better organize the conversation for all of you. So you'll see on the screen right now, there's really two types of important actions that you can take with Robert's Rules of Order. There's a motion and then a point. A motion is essentially something to take action. I move to do X. I think we should do X. And then a point is typically used to request attention or ask a question. You can see a more comprehensive list of this in your orientation materials, but I wanted to particularly flag for all of you, point of order is an opportunity to ask a question about procedure or the running of the meeting. So if you're confused as to where you are or what you should say in order to do what you want to do, point of order is a great thing to say and then be able to explain what your question is. And then point of personal privilege is similarly something that's really useful if you want to ask for accommodation, muting background noise, things like that. You can say point of personal privilege and raise that issue. So we can go on to the next slide.
So I'm going to highlight a few actions where you may want to that you might want to take and how you can begin utilizing Robert's Rules to make them. So one of those would be to introduce a new topic or action. As Sally said, this would start with a motion. So you would say, I move to adopt the agenda. I move to adjourn the meeting, et cetera, et cetera. with that, when one person moves to do something, in order for the question to come before the full commission, someone else needs to second the motion. So just a different commissioner will say, I second the motion. And if there's a second, then the chair will call all in favor, all opposed, and proceed accordingly. If there's not a second, then it is not called the question. To end debate or to make a decision, someone could say, I move to previous question. And that would also require a second. So one person can say, I move to end debate. I move to, a previous question. Then someone else would second, and then the chair would say, all in favor, all opposed, and do a roll call vote at that point. Similarly, with to vote or make a decision, the chair would then, state, now we will vote on, and then we'll restate the motion so there's clarity on what exactly is being voted on, and then ask all in favor, all opposed. Again, this is a high-level overview, and there are, of course, many specifics you might have questions about, and naturally, and those will come about as we get into the work, as you all get into the work of the commission. The point right now is simply to start using this set of rules as a tool to organize the meeting and keep everyone focused. You don't have to be an expert. We certainly aren't all parliamentarians either. So that said, any questions from any of you at this point, or know that you can ask these questions, of course, as the meeting goes on.
Thanks, Mike. Secretary Benson, that concludes our overview of Robert's rules.
Thank you. And our next item on our agenda are introductions. You will all be working with each other quite a bit in the year ahead, in the next several months. And so we've set aside some time for you to introduce yourself to each other and the members of the public who are watching in the audience. We've allotted about an hour for this, or just about, which is the equivalent of about four minutes for each commissioner. You're of course welcome to use whatever time that you like, but we of course want to keep things moving. To make things easy, I will call on you one by one to introduce yourself. You can mention whatever you'd like. Here are some suggestions: your name, where you're from, your past or current professional or life experience, what you like to do in your spare time, what brings you here, or in other words, why did you apply, and anything else you'd like to share with your fellow commissioners and colleagues. The commissioners, I'm going to call in alphabetical order by first name, and we're going to start with Anthony Eade.
Hey, can everyone hear me? Cool. Hi, everyone. My name's Anthony Eade. Let's see, I'm 28 years old. I'm from Orchard Lake, Michigan. It's a little suburb right by West Bloomfield. Currently, I split time between there and Midtown Detroit. I am an aspiring orthopedic surgeon. I received 2 bachelor's degrees, one in biology and one in psychology back in 2015. Then I received a master's degree in medical science in 2017. And since then, I've completed 2 years of medical school. I'm, I was surprised to be selected for this commission, and I'm, looking forward to working with all of you to, give back to the people of our state. Some things I like to do in my spare time are volunteer, especially now during the COVID crisis. My colleagues and I have been doing a lot of volunteer work around the city for our underserved population to make sure they can get the safety and sanitary, requirements to help stop the spread of this, unfortunate pandemic that we all find ourselves in. I also like to read. I like sports. I try to work out every single day. Football started last week and I got a win in my fantasy football team, so I'm happy about that. Kind of a nerd. I like video games. I like statistics and evidence. Done a lot of research in my life, stuff like that. What brings me here? That's kind of an interesting question. When I was an undergrad and in my master's program, I was the president of the student body at Wayne State. And that kind of got me into advocacy and getting my feet wet with like the political process. So I thought this commission would be a wonderful way to kind of, continue with that, give back to the people of our state, and, try to do it in a really fair, unbiased, and, evidence-based way. So that's why I applied. I want to be able to give back and do it fairly. And yeah, that's about all I got. Hopefully we can all see each other in person soon.
Let's hope. Thank you very much. Brittany Kellum.
Good morning, everyone. As Mrs. Benson said, my name is Brittany Kellum. I am a native Detroiter. I am absolutely in love with the city and the moxie and pulse that Detroit has. It's truly Detroit hustle harder. Absolutely, Anthony. There's no other place like the city of Detroit. So I really appreciate that uniqueness of the city. My past or current professional or life experience, that's a loaded one. I am a trauma practitioner. I am a survivor of childhood trauma, and I walk with that identity because I believe that more folks should be in those spaces and be able to have impact. I am currently an advocate at the Survivor Law Clinic, where I assist those victims that are surviving violent crimes. So to be able to help them navigate the legal system is an amazing experience. As well as I am the executive director and lead consultant for Just Speak and the B+ method, where I implement trauma-informed practices and programming inside of schools and help adults work alongside children. So I'm extremely passionate about youth rights, education, and things that can impact those areas in that way. I am a lover of culture and music. I have a dog, Hendrix, that I truly, truly adore, who is my first son because I don't have any children yet. And I really enjoy a lot of self-care, yoga, mindfulness, any type of pampering time and time with my friends is extremely important to me, especially as we're navigating these unusual circumstances right now in society. So my spare time and my time with myself and my loved ones, my tribe, as I call them, is extremely important. I came to be a commissioner by chance, like the rest of us, but I really think it's an honor, and there's a reason why all of us are here together. I have always been a believer that those members of a community should have an impact and a choice and an awareness as to what goes on. I'm a big proponent of advocacy and giving folks a voice. So this role, to me, there's no other way to kind of define those core values and standards that I live by, to be able to represent our peers and to do things in a way that could be more just and fair moving forward, to set the tone for a great political environment in the state of Michigan.
Thank you, Brittany.
You're welcome.
Cynthia Orton.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cynthia. I feel that my two fellow commissioners that have spoken before me are very eloquent and educated, and I'm just an average person, I feel like. I was born and raised in Oregon, but I lived in Michigan for the past about 16 years. And I have lived in various places in Michigan. So I lived in Grass Lake and Jackson and Brighton and Matawan, and now we live in Battle Creek. And Michigan is a beautiful state with many wonderful people. I really like Michigan. I think, as with my fellow commissioners, it's an honor to have been randomly chosen for this commission and to come together with each of our group and to work with the citizens of Michigan and be able to represent our fellow citizens. A little bit about me. I am a college student, online college student. I'm majoring in administrative assistance. I, for most of my adult life, have been a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 college-age children, and I, previous to having children. I was a hairstylist, so that's about me personally. I have also lived outside the country. I lived in the Netherlands and Japan for several years, and so I speak those languages. And I love traveling and other cultures, learning about other people and other ideas. And so I think that's it.
Thank you, Cynthia. Wonderful to have you. Douglas Clark.
Good morning. I'm Douglas Clark, and please call me Doug from here on in. I'm from Rochester Hills, Michigan, and I've lived here since 1977. I came here after graduating from graduate school in Washington, D.C. And prior to that, I served 4 years in the military and left the Army as a captain, which I got a lot of good experience from that. I enjoyed that and see it as one of the bright spots in my life. After getting out of the graduate school, I moved to Michigan, and I had management positions in General Motors, Electronic Data Systems, and Hewlett Packard. And I retired approximately 10 years ago from Hewlett Packard, and retired a little early. In my spare time, I like to golf. I like to travel. I have 2 daughters, one in Texas, one in Huntington Beach, California. And I like to travel and go see them and when I get an opportunity. What brings me here is I wanted to help ensure that we have a fair and impartial redistricting process. And I thought that I could be able to bring some positive things to the table to help make that happen. I think I have some strong personal characteristics, objective in the things that I do, and the ability to work with others through my experience through the years. So I'm looking forward to it. I see it as a great honor, and I am going to be happy to meet the others in person. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Dustin Witchies. Did I say that right?
It's witches. Think a bunch of green people on brooms flying around. That's a good way to do it. So again, my name is Dustin Witches. I am from Howell originally. I currently reside in Ypsilanti, where I am going to school for a master's degree in mathematics. I currently work for Thomson Reuters. I am a onboarding specialist in MyPay Solutions, which is a payroll processing company. So I set up new accounts and make sure that their employees get paid on time and accurately, as well as help me maintain or make sure that all their tax filings are done correctly with a nice help of people. As far as my spare time right now goes, I really don't have much because it's this work and a lot of homework almost every day. So, but I do enjoy disc golf quite a bit, being outdoors. And I know Cynthia and I are going to be friends because I also used to live in the Netherlands. So good way for me to practice my Dutch, I suppose. As far as why I'm here, I voted for the measure back in 2018. I thought it was interesting and an interesting concept. So because of that reason, I actually applied. I wasn't really expecting to make it, but now that I'm here, I'm honored and humble. And I want to just make sure that everything is done fairly for not only the next 10 years, but also for future generations to come.
Thank you, Justin.
For me.
Thank you. Aaron Wagner.
Hello, my name is Erin. I am from Charlotte, Michigan, which is about 17 minutes. It depends how fast you drive from Lansing, south of Lansing. I started out pursuing a medical degree and then promptly got married, and we have 6 children, 5 boys and 1 girl. So I'm kind of used to being in the middle of squabbles. between the kids. I homeschooled everyone until they got to an age where they wanted to be in public school. I have one son who is a senior this year. And then they all fall within a year of each other after that. I was so looking forward to putting them all into public school this year. But one chose to virtual school instead. So 3 are in school and 1 is not. What I like to do, I read a lot. I research anything I do not understand. And what brought me here was I understood there weren't a whole lot of, I was under the impression there was not a whole lot of people that had applied for this. So I went ahead and threw my application in there thinking, you know, there was never going to be any chance I would actually sit on the commission, and happened to catch the YouTube of the drawing and saw my name pop up. And so I have been doing a lot of reading in the orientation materials since it was delivered, and I'm really looking forward to this auspicious occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. James Decker.
Hello, please call me Ed. Yes,
Ed Decker.
yes.
Got it.
My father called me James, and when he did, I was usually in trouble, so I prefer Ed. I was born in Detroit, raised in Ypsilanti, graduated from Eastern Michigan, and I currently am a laboratory test engineer for General Motors. And in a previous life, I also worked for Electronic Data Systems as a network engineer. So lifelong resident of Michigan, obviously, and I have 2 wonderful children, and I raised them to, you know, you can sit around and complain about things that you don't like, or you can get involved and try and make a difference. So I'm honored to be here as part of this commission, and I just wanted to see if I could do something good and try to help out our state during these very divisive and very challenging times. So that's me.
Thank you, Ed. Janice Villette.
My name is Janice Villette. I've lived in Michigan my whole life. I currently live in Highland, Michigan, Highland Township. I worked 20 years in the banking industry. I started in accounting and moved over to the banking centers, where I retired about 3 years ago as an assistant manager. In my spare time, I like to read and do some crafts. My husband and I are always searching for a place we haven't been to in Michigan. So if anybody's got any suggestions, I'm more than open. I too never thought that I would go through the process and get here. So I just want voting to be free and fair, and want to get back to my community. That's it.
Thank you, Janice. Juanita Curry.
Yes, my name is Juanita Curry. I am from Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. My past, current, professional, or life experiences are many. One of them, I attended Wayne State University and studied public relations and journalism, which I'm just a few classes from getting bachelor's degrees in both of them. I did get a 2-year degree in associate's arts at Wayne County Community College. I also was a specialized foster parent for the state of Michigan, where I dealt with children. I have a passion for children. I love children, helping them and raising them and trying to get them on the right path in life. And many of them have succeeded. I'm kind of done with that right now. And I have a passion for souls. I enjoy church work. In my spare time, I like to relax and read a book or watch a good movie. What brings me here, I wanted to do something that would help Michigan and help our districting. So I took a chance and applied for this particular job and was very surprised that I made it, but I'm glad and want to do the best that I can.
Thank you, Juanita. MC Rothhorn.
Yo, yeah, my name is MC. I'll start with my name has a story. I am the firstborn here in the U.S. Both my parents are from Germany. My mom's from the north, my dad's from the south. They say they come from a mixed marriage. Like I said, I'm firstborn in the U.S. My MC is not a German name, but it does relate to my father's story with the Marine Corps. My name does not stand for Marine Corps, but there's another story there. So I'll just leave that as far as my name. And I should also say that Rothhorn is a combination of my bachelor name Roth, which is the German part, and my spouse, my partner, her name was Horner. So we mushed them together. So there's two H's. That's why there's two H's, because it's Roth and Horn mushed together. I was born and raised in Ann Arbor, where my parents met each other. And I went to Michigan State, and I've been in Lansing since then. I met my spouse, and we traveled quite a bit overseas. We both speak German fluently, and have spent a good deal of time traveling, I suppose, overseas. But we have found ourselves in Michigan, and we're both. I'm a lifelong Michigander. I'm currently when we came back from overseas, we wanted to live in a neighborhood where people wanted to live in a neighborhood. So we found an intentional community called co-housing, and that has been a real blessing. It feels like a neighborhood where you sort of hear about it, where the kids played out on the street until the street lights went on, and people would take care of their help parent and help care for each other. So it's a little bit what we were looking for, and it's a lot of what we've received. There's always challenges. That's one of the reasons I applied for this. I do enjoy the challenge. What I find is that my spouse and I have two kids, and my greatest learning is really through them. So it's sort of I get to learn about myself and some of the good things that I've learned along the way as an adult, and some of the things that I want to change before it gets to the end. So I suppose the reason I'm here is because I do feel like public service is something that helps me grow. I live in an intentional community. I also work with a cooperative. I work in the accounting and the maintenance pieces of that cooperative. There are about 17 houses and 250 members of that cooperative. And there's a lot of meetings and a lot of listening, and a lot of, like I said, it helps me understand how to bring some of those things I learned back into my family, and ultimately, I guess hopefully be a good citizen. I feel like I'm a good listener. I've worked in many groups. Many people have said volunteer work. I have studied, the accounting profession, but right now I'm working on understanding what it means to actually have a less biased and a less have more, let's say, radical hospitality. How to include people in radical ways. That's including in my professional world, in my co-housing world, my neighborhood, and I suppose that could apply to this commission as well. I think that's it. Check.
Thank you, MC. Rhonda Lang.
Good morning. My name's Rhonda. I'm from Reed City, Michigan. Town so small you blink, you miss it. We're very rural. My current occupation, I'm a real estate broker. In the past, I was a certified medical assistant. I'm also a U.S. Navy veteran. In my spare time, I guess I like to do what most people in the rural country settings do: camping, fishing, hunting, you name it, anything outdoorsy. The reason I applied for the commission, I really didn't know a lot about it. You read little bits and pieces, but I thought it'd be a way, the more I found out about it, to serve the community, especially being in a rural community. Sometimes you feel like your voices aren't heard also, being so spread out. So I just figured the best way to find things out, new adventure, I guess, is to put my hat in the ring, try it, and here I am. I'm also kind of a very private person, so this is stepping out of my comfort zone just a little bit.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. Thank you very much for joining us. Richard Weiss.
Good morning to all my talented and interesting commissioners. My name is Richard Weiss. I'm from Saginaw, Michigan. I've served 2 years in the military at a younger age. I worked 30 years for General Motors, retired. I have a daughter and 2 wonderful grandsons. In my spare time, I took up doing handyman stuff to kind of keep me busy and keep me out of trouble. I make wine also on the side. I guess what brings me here is I just figure it's my duty to do this. I did jury duty here about a year ago, and of course I'm a little bit above the age that I have to do it. So it's kind of one of the reasons I decided to do this. I think I should do this. So, and appreciate that I got chosen to do it. So thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And finally, we have Stephen Lett.
Oh, Stephen, you're muted.
Try it again. As the secretary said, my name is Steve Lett, and I'm celebrating the 23rd anniversary of my 50th birthday. Previously, or currently, I am a lawyer. My practice was primarily labor law, and now I am a mediator and an arbitrator. I do quite a few mediations, and I do a lot of them, well, we do them all on Zoom now. I grew up in Lansing and worked there my entire career until I moved to Interlaken. I was in the Army during the Vietnam era. I graduated from MSU. I'm now married and have 2 daughters, one who lives in Detroit and the other who lives in Boston. I moved up here to Interlaken in 2017, and that's probably why I got picked, because I'm the furthest north. I did apply when the applications first came out. I thought it would be, number one, very interesting to be on the commission, and number 2, it would be an opportunity to hopefully set the course for Michigan in redistricting for the decades to come. And one of the things that you need to be careful of, I guess, and I wasn't, was be careful what you wish for, because I got picked and now I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you all. And we have one last item on our agenda for our morning session, and that is selecting an acting chair. But before we get to that, I just wanted to remark on, with great gratitude that each of you were selected and that you have stepped up to serve. As we built this process from the ground up beginning last spring, there was so much uncertainty into how it would play out. Would a lot of people apply? Would the people ultimately selected want to do the jobs? Would they take seriously their role? And to see you all reflect the best of Michigan, the best of those aspirations and the values of those who drove and led this reform is really just incredibly inspiring. And in my time in public office, I've seen that good governance, actually making things work for people, depends on having both a good institution and good people comprising that institution. The citizens of Michigan built a good institution. They built a citizens or districting commission and a plan to create it. But you always have the question of who is then going to populate that institution. You all bring everything to the table that I believe the drafters and those creating the institution, the Citizens Commission, hope to see. And it gives me great confidence that you all will succeed because you are thoughtful, you are diverse, you are inquisitive, and each of you and your stories have an underlying emphasis on service. Of course, military, myself from a military family as well, I know how that service ethos pervades everything you do. So it is not surprising to me that we see so many veterans and former service members amongst the ranks, but also each of you in describing your work, your passion, whether it's as a parent, as a community member, as a public servant, you all have built lives around serving others. And that is, precisely the type of ethos that we'd hope to see now as you take on this great service in furtherance of the citizens of the state of Michigan, and the hope and the trust that they have placed inadvertently in all of you. Though it was a random selection process, certainly the trust that the process itself would yield with such success, all of you, is, I think something that we all are greatly proud of. And I'm just so thrilled and excited to see the work that you'll all accomplish together. So thank you again for your willingness to serve your state, your families, your communities throughout your lives, and of course in this moment as well. And now that you all have officially convened as commissioners, it is important that you elect a temporary acting chair. Tomorrow afternoon, you will have the opportunity to discuss a more permanent structure. But for the remainder of this initial meeting, both today and into tomorrow, you can elect an acting chair to call the meeting to order, facilitate discussion and decisions on agenda items, and then close the meeting at the end of each day. So does anyone have any questions first about the role of the acting chair that will, again, be just in this 2-day meeting, at which point you all can decide whether to elect a permanent chair under the leadership of that acting chair later on tomorrow? Are there any questions about the role itself? Sally, I'll depend on, do you see any hands raised in the chat?
I do not. Commissioner,
Okay.
any questions?
Okay, well then first I will ask for volunteers. Anyone interested, please indicate your interest through raising your hand in the chat or visually, and or visually. And then when all who are interested have volunteered, we'll give each volunteer the opportunity to speak for a few minutes about why you'd like to serve as acting chair. And then there will be an opportunity for discussion between you all about this decision and who you want to vote for. And then once you're ready to vote, one of you will need to move to previous question, another will second, and then if a majority wants to vote, you can then vote on the acting chair. So who would like to volunteer to serve as acting chair for this initial convening?
I'd like to put my name forward humbly.
And that was, sorry, I don't see everyone.
Dustin Witches.
Dustin. Okay, so we have one volunteer, Dustin Witches. Thank you. Others?
I'd like to second Dustin's request, and I'd also like to throw my name in the running.
Sorry, who was that?
That's Anthony.
Okay.
Steve Lett, I would put my name in.
So we have Steve. Sally, are you keeping track of this? And we also have
Yeah, and then Brittany Kellum.
other volunteers. And then Sally, you'll read the full list of volunteers before we invite each to speak.
Yes, so commissioners, I have Stephen, Anthony, Dustin, and Brittany. Are there any other volunteers at this time?
Okay, seeing none, I'll invite each to speak. We'll begin, we'll go backwards now. We went forwards on alphabetical order to begin with, and now we'll go backwards, starting with Stephen.
Yes, I would be honored to serve as the temporary chair at this time. I have in my career chaired a number of meetings, as well as being familiar with Robert's Rules of Order, such as that may or may not be important. Also, as in my profession as a labor attorney, I sat at the main table bargaining for a lot of sessions. So I'm familiar with, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, I think I could probably do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Next, we have Dustin Witches.
I've also had to chair a couple of meetings, a few times, making sure that we stay on point, that we don't get sidetracked. I don't necessarily have as much experience as Stephen does, but I have done it before, and I'll do my best here to make sure that we stay on track and everyone's voices are heard and that the rules of order are followed correctly.
Thank you, Justin. Brittany, Kellum.
Hi, everybody again. I am interested in being the acting chair because I have some experience being the executive director of a nonprofit, of holding meetings, not as the chair, but being very familiar of how to keep the flow of a meeting going, and to make sure there is a collaborative spirit in the group, as well as everyone gets to have their say. And I am very comfortable with speaking, as well as having that 30 seconds of silence to make sure those that are a little bit more anxious or thinking that someone else is going to respond gets their turn to share. I am familiar, I have a working knowledge with Robert's rules, but I think this would be an excellent opportunity for me to learn more about the commission, as well as running the structure of a meeting from an acting chair position.
Thank you. And Anthony Eid.
Hi, everyone. I also would be honored to serve as temporary chair of this commission until we set a more permanent structure. I think the role of a chairperson for a committee like this is to facilitate structure and order so we can conduct the business that is on our agenda. I'm very familiar with Robert's Rules of Order. When I was president of the Student Senate at Wayne State University, I chaired dozens upon dozens of meetings. And during my time in medical school, I also chaired dean searches, budget and finance committees, curriculum committees, and just a whole other assortment of committees that I was the chair of. So I think I do have the experience for the role. And if you guys would have me, I'd be honored. Thank you.
So we have our four potential acting chairs. Commissioners, you now have your first public deliberation and public vote. And again, this is simply acting chair. The term will conclude, if you all choose at the end of tomorrow's session, at which point you'll have an opportunity to, at the acting chair's direction, elect a permanent chair of the commission. For now, you can discuss, ask any questions, or make a motion to vote. I'll open it up for questions and discussion. And Sally, since you can see who raises their hands, I'll let you recognize commissioners as they indicate their interest in asking a question.
Absolutely. MC, I see a hand.
Yeah, I'm wondering does it matter what sort of experience we might have in terms of Zoom hosting, facilitating? Just curious if any of the candidates think that that's going to be an issue related. Yeah, if they could speak to that or if that seems relevant or not.
We'll give each person an opportunity to respond to the question about your experience with Zoom and convening meetings via Zoom. Who'd like to go first? Brittany?
Yeah, I'll just, since I unmuted myself. I'm very comfortable with Zoom. I just finished facilitating a training for the University of Chicago on Friday, and I had to navigate breakout rooms and, hand clapping features or raise the hand features. So I'm comfortable with Zoom and patient with internet connection challenges and things that come with trying to navigate a virtual space.
Dustin?
Sorry about that.
I believe you're muted.
Yep, sorry about that. Well, I mean, since all the classes and universities decided to go online, we've been using Zoom for, I don't know, the last year. And then with me working with a technology company, we've used many different kinds of virtual meeting platforms, Jabber, Microsoft Teams. I think we've used Zoom once, but it didn't really last very long. I think it was for a just a meeting with myself and an accountant that I was working with. So familiar. I know how to navigate basically any kind of computer program in about 5 minutes. So that would not be a problem.
Thank you. Anthony and then Stephen.
Hey, everyone. Honestly, I would assume that over the last 6 months, we've all become pretty proficient in, video meetings such as this. I'm a tech guy. I'm perfectly capable of running Zoom. Can also do Microsoft Teams, Discord, GroupMe, WhatsApp. I got quite the setup here. So yeah, I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay, and Steve. Is it Steve or Stephen?
Take your pick.
All right, Steve or Stephen?
I have no problem with Zoom. I probably host between 5 and 10 Zoom meetings a month. That's what I've been doing for the last, ever since Zoom started with mediations and anything in the court world. So I've been on those, I'm always the host. So I very comfortable using Zoom.
Thank you. Other questions for our potential acting chairs? Or discussion? We will be doing a roll call vote. We will need a motion. If there are no questions or discussion, we'll need a motion to move to question and then a second.
I guess I have one more question. Sorry, I was hoping that other commissioners might say something, but I'm not necessarily comfortable with Zoom. Honestly, I feel like there's a connection that I'm missing, and so what I'm asking, there's a part of me that knows I want my facilitator to bring energy and to be sort of like real. Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm wondering if you could speak to what's the role of the facilitator in making sure that we each do feel sort of like super included. Like, is there a role? Is it facilitator, or is it up to me?
Would anyone like to begin?
I think it's up to the person that is, and the other commissioners can chime in, but my personal perspective, when you're running a meeting, particularly when it's virtual, you are responsible for kind of keeping a pulse or vibe. And it's important to visually, sometimes you can play with your virtual background as long as it's appropriate, like mine. I think those things add to the space of us being comfortable, number one, trying to adjust to the format, but then also getting to know each other. So I don't think, yes, we have an individual responsibility, but it would also be my responsibility to make sure, MC, that you're comfortable and that you know what's going on, even if that meant that like we have a dialogue separately and I am walking you through how to get more comfortable and Zoom savvy, because we're all kind of figuring it out together, admittedly.
Does anyone want to go next, or I'll call on someone?
I would comment that I think the facilitator on the Zoom meeting is to make sure that there is sufficient time given that everybody can express their opinion or comment. However, I think the facilitator also needs to keep track of who may be reticent to talk and speak up. I would find that somewhat hard to imagine with the other 12 commissioners in this group. But if that were the case, it would be my job to make sure that they were participating should they want to. Some people may just not want to and want to sit back and listen and see what everybody else has to say, but they certainly should know that they are welcome to speak.
Dustin or Anthony?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Dustin. So I kind of spoke on this in my little speech a couple minutes ago, but I think the role of the facilitator position, is to keep structure and try to keep the meeting moving forward to complete our agenda items. Traditionally, a more of a parliamentarian role would do this and do things like, keeping the roll call, making sure that, whoever raises their hand does get time to speak, and other actions such as that. But I think, we here on this committee, if my understanding is correct, we have the authority to, come up with whatever structure we want. And I think we'll do that tomorrow. So whatever we do today is, we should keep in mind it's temporary until we do decide on that more permanent structure. But I do agree with Brittany that it is important that we facilitate a discussion between the 13 of us. So thank you for that question, MC.
And Dustin.
Yeah, and then piggybacking off of that, that is correct too. I mean, I'd want to make sure that everyone has a, their voice is heard. And if I start to potentially see that someone's not, coming or saying anything or quiet or potentially shy, I mean, it is Zoom, so I can ask a question privately to the person saying, hey, do you have any input that you'd like to share? And yeah, so on and so forth. But my understanding is that we just facilitate to make sure that everything keeps moving forward at a steady pace while all of our voices are heard at the same time.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for our potential acting chairs?
I'd like to motion to bring this to a vote. Since there are 4 of us, I think we should do an initial vote and then maybe redo the vote when it's down to 2 people.
Is there a second for that motion? I think we have to, Sally, correct me if I'm wrong, but since that would be a 2-tiered, do we have to vote on that motion to have a 2-tiered election of acting chair?
Yes. Commissioners, I think the main options, because this is a virtual meeting, we'll have to do a roll call vote, as Secretary Benson mentioned. So, Anthony, could you clarify, is your motion to move to vote or to move to vote in the way that you just suggested?
Well, I'm just wondering what we will do if a majority is not reached upon the first vote.
So your motion, so you can make a motion to have 1 vote and then the top 2 candidates go to a runoff. Is that your motion?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor of the motion for an initial vote of all 4 candidates and then a runoff between the top 2? You vote yes, and we have to roll call because it's a public meeting. So each of you can vote yes or no, and Sally will go through the roll call. And I believe candidates can also vote, correct? Yeah, you don't lose your ability to vote, right?
Yes, since this is a motion yeah.
So Sally will now read through the names and you can vote yes or no. And again, the motion on the floor is to have a system where you would vote for all 4, and then the top 2 vote getters would have a runoff and you'd have a second vote at that time. So go ahead. We'll start in alphabetical order by first name.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Anthony. Brittany Kellum?
Yes.
Cynthia Orton?
Yes.
Doug Clark?
Yes.
Dustin Witches?
Yes.
Aaron Wagner?
Yes.
James Decker?
Yes.
Janice Villette?
Yes.
Juanita Curry?
Yes.
MC Rothorn?
Yes.
Rhonda Lang?
Yes.
Richard Weiss?
Yes.
Stephen Lett?
Yes.
Wonderful. All commissioners have voted yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Now entertain, are there any additional motions, or is there a call to question on the initial vote? Or a motion to vote on the candidates and select an acting chair?
A motion to vote. Move it to a vote.
Move to vote. Is there a second?
Yeah, I second that.
Okay, we'll now do a roll call vote on the 4 volunteers. And again, under the motion passed, the top 2 vote getters will then move on to a runoff. Sally, I'll let you start again, alphabetical order by first name. When your name is called, indicate the individual who you're voting for.
Thank you, Secretary Benson. Again, I will go in alphabetical order by first name. Anthony?
Yes, I'd like to vote for myself.
Brittany?
I like to vote for myself humbly.
Cynthia?
Steve.
Douglas?
I'd like to vote for Steve Lett, please.
Dustin?
I also would like to vote for Steve Lett, please.
Aaron?
I vote for Steve Lett as well.
Ed?
I'd like to vote for Steve Lett as well.
Janice?
I'd like to vote for Brittany.
Juanita?
I'd like to vote for Brittany.
MC?
Also for Brittany.
Rhonda?
I'd like to vote for Steve.
Richard?
I'd like to vote for Steve.
And Steve.
I vote for myself.
Wonderful. Okay, so commissioners, we have, let me just tally this. I have 8 votes for Steve, 4 votes for Brittany, and 1 vote for Anthony, which means that our top 2 contenders are Brittany and Steve. So
we'll now move into the top 2 vote. I think we can go directly into that because if that's the method that was correct, or do we need another motion?
Well, you don't need a motion because your first motion was a 2-step process. Yep. There is process number 2.
Got it. So now we'll move into the second vote, the runoff vote between the remaining volunteers for acting chair are Brittany Kellum and Steve Lett. And again, I'll have Sally Marsh from the Department of State do a roll call of the vote, beginning in alphabetical order by first name.
Thank you, Secretary Benson. Anthony?
I would vote for Steve.
Brittany?
Voting for myself.
Cynthia?
I'll vote for Steve.
Doug?
I vote for Steve.
Justin?
I will vote for Steve.
Aaron?
I vote for Steve as well.
Ed?
I vote for Steve as well.
Janice?
I vote for Brittany.
Juanita?
I vote for Brittany.
MC?
Brittany.
Rhonda?
I vote for Steve.
Richard?
I will vote for Steve.
And Steve.
I'll vote for me.
Thank you, commissioners.
The votes are in, and Sally, as you tally them, and announce the acting chair. I'll note that again, moving forward, you all can have a lot of latitude on the structures and officers as well, and leaders that you, the structure of the commission that you create moving forward. And again, this acting chair will serve until a permanent chair is selected. So Sally, would you like to report the votes?
Yes, with a vote of 9-4, the commissioners have voted to make Steve Lett the acting chair.
Congratulations, and thank you all for volunteering. And we've now made it successfully through your first public vote as a commission. So congratulations on that as well. With that, I will ask Steve Lett as acting chair to ask for motions to adjourn the morning session with a reminder that we will reconvene as planned just before 2 p.m. Commissioners will log on at 1:45 p.m. this afternoon to begin the second portion of today's session. So Steve, as acting chair, I'll turn it over to you again to entertain a motion to adjourn our morning session.
Thank you, Secretary Benson. I would now entertain such a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have to make a motion and then have a second.
Move to,
Cynthia, you're making the motion?
yes, I move to adjourn.
Okay. And was that Justin that seconded it the first time?
Correct.
Okay, so we're seconding it the second time. We've had a motion to adjourn and a second. Are we doing a roll call on this, Sally?
If you ask for the ayes and it's overwhelming, you, Mike Brady, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you can say that in the eyes of the chair, the ayes have it.
All right, we'll take a voice vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, the same sign. Hearing none, we are adjourned. We will convene again this afternoon at 2 p.m. Thank you all for participating, and we'll look for you back at that time.
Thank you all.
Great.
See you at 2.
Thank you,
See you this
Steve.
afternoon. Bye.
Bye-bye.